computer. When we come back, Mississippi Burning, the story of two very different FBI men who investigate a tragic civil rights murder in the South.
You don't like me much, do you, boss?
Sure I like you. I just don't share your...
This is an intelligent and powerful drama that I think is one of the top contenders for this year's Academy Awards. The movie stars Gene Hackman and Willem Dafoe, he was one of the co-stars of Platoon, as two very different kinds of FBI agents who are assigned as partners to investigate the murders of 3 civil rights workers in Mississippi in 1963. The Hackman character is a traditional lawman, cynical, tough, a veteran. He's seen it all. He believes sometimes in breaking the rules.
Will this battle be lost by mixing the races? We want beautiful babies, not ones with brown faces. Never, never, never I say, for the Ku Klux Klan is here to stay. Never, never I say, cause the Ku Klux Klan is here to stay. These Ku Kluxers are better with lynchings than they are lyrics.
Dafoe was more laid back. He's one of the bright young lawyers Robert Kennedy had just hired for the Justice Department. When the two men pay a call on the local sheriff, you can see their different approaches to the same problem.
We're here to see Sheriff Stuckey.
Sheriff's right busy now. You'll have to wait or come back some other time.
We'll wait.
Yeah. All right, bye. Hey, take care of yourself. All right.
Listen to me, you backwoods. You get about 2 seconds to get the sheriff out of here. I'm going to kick the damn door in. Okay?
Trying to develop leads on the Klansmen that he suspects were responsible for the disappearance of the 3 missing men, Hackman cultivates local contacts.
Simple fact is, Anderson, we got 2 cultures down here. White culture and the colored culture. Now, that's the way it always has been. That's the way it always will be.
The rest of America don't see it that way, Mr. Mayor.
The rest of America don't mean jack. You in Mississippi now.
That's for sure.
And there you see part of a performance that's typical of Gene Hackman's greatness as the kind of actor who can convince us of the utter authenticity of his characters. Mississippi Burning is a lot more than simply a movie about a missing persons case. A lot of the film has to do with the very subtle development of a personal relationship between Hackman and a local woman played by Frances McDormand as the browbeaten wife of a local racist. She has supplied her husband's alibi for the murders, but will she change her testimony? A lot depends on the gentle way that the tough Hackman tries to understand her, as in fact, he seems to be almost falling in love with her. Mississippi Burning was directed by Alan Parker, one of the best and most interesting directors of the last decade. His credits range all the way from Midnight Express to Fame to Shoot the Moon, and here he has made the best film I've ever seen about the turbulent civil rights movement of the early 60s. It's quite a movie.
I think it's a very strong movie, and I go down the line with you on the performances as distinguishing material. We've seen lots of pictures about 2 different kinds of cops paired together, so that is not new. In fact, when the movie started out, I thought, here comes formula. But these 2 actors, Hackman, of course, you've talked about. Let me focus on Willem Dafoe, because when you said Willem Dafoe's name, you said you might remember him as the sergeant from Platoon. But this man is now quite a presence himself.
Yes, he is.
Because he has The Last Temptation of Christ, playing obviously one of the most difficult characters to play, Jesus Christ. And he's done a superb job there. He does it again here. You could play this guy as uptight by the book and sort of wide-eyed at Hackman, but no, this guy has integrity in himself, and he doesn't give it up to Hackman, which happens in most of these paired cop pictures, where one quickly is subordinate to the other. It's a very strong performance. Willem Dafoe ought to be not have to be identified anymore with Platoon. He's a great distinguished actor, and I like the performance also of Frances McDormand. That whole interplay is a new wrinkle in an old story.
Yes, it is. In fact, the entire movie is original, even though it could have easily been formula. You know, as I was watching it, in the last couple of weeks, we've had a lot of stuff on television about the anniversary of President Kennedy's assassination. Right. And a lot of it has also included other stuff about that period. It's easy to forget that as recently as 1963, all of this stuff was still to happen. That a lot of things that we now take for granted hadn't happened yet, and the civil rights case was right at the center of things. This movie goes back to that period in history, and by recreating that one story, it brings back a whole chapter of American history.
It's a very good film. Coming up next, Vincent, a biography of Vincent van Gogh using his letters to his brother and the photography of the actual places where the great artist painted.
If one keeps on loving faithfully, one will gradually